Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It's a joy to be with you today. There is so much happening. But as the world swirls around, keep your head up and keep your wits about you. Continue to be prayerful because everything is going to be all right. They say it's darkest before the dawn, and there is much confusion before everything settles down again. So just keep that in mind. I wonder if you've gone to the healthcare exchanges. Have you noticed a spike in premiums? Oh, they are there. So we'll see what's going to happen with this government shutdown, which is now more than a month old. And we are looking at the SNAP benefits. We're going to be talking about that in a couple of hours. Wow. They have been suspended, and there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of pain out here. As we are recording this show, uh, the Trump administration has decided to partially fund the contingency fund that is supposed to be released by mandate. They're not doing Americans a favor. This is actually law. That is what they're supposed to do. I suspect, because they are so social media savvy, that they're watching people from all across the American spectrum. Every stripe in our flag are furious about these benefits being suspended because there is so much more to SNAP. And let me just say this because I've been digging in and finding out more about these programs, everybody. Um, do some people sell their SNAP cards? Yes. But that's because little things like personal items for women, you cannot buy on that card. Some people, most people can't make it from payday to Monday. So they need help with their rent. We are the richest country on earth, and nearly a third of us, 29% of us, are in poverty. That's 100 million people. There's something that is wrong with the system when you have that many poor people in America, that many people struggling to keep their heads above water. We're not talking about, and those are the people who cop to it, Attorney Tanya Woods. We're not talking about the people who are near poverty or who don't want you to know that they are doing far worse than you think because we're prideful. Who wants to say that I need help? But heaven knows you do. You need it. So
Indeed.
let's talk about that. And at this time, now we're looking at the pressure is on with ICE. ICE, well, they're becoming much, much more aggressive and they're more numerous.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, in Chicago, now they have come to the wealthiest neighborhoods and they're snatching up nannies.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also on the Upper West Side in Manhattan. And there was a 67-year-old gentleman. I saw video of him. He is training for the New York City Marathon, which
Mm.
it's coming. And everybody's excited about that, right? And I lived in New York for years. That's just a big, 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 big deal. And you're coming up on it. And he turned down the street and he saw that his street was blocked. Asked ICE, well, where do I go? How do I park my car? Because he had to catch up with his team. They pulled him out of his car, slammed him on the ground, broke six of his ribs. I don't think
Mm.
he's going to be able to be in the marathon. Six of his ribs, everybody, six, because he asked the question. Think about that. Think about who are ICE? What are they empowered to do? We do know this, they are all over Chicago. We know that. And they're stopping people, not in an orderly fashion. We're going to talk about that because what they're doing is very unsettling. And I've got a tremendous panel of people who are going to help us to really understand what our risks and our rights are. Thank you, attorney Tanya Woods from the West Side Justice Center, because really that's like resonating in my mind. Because as we're walking up and down the street, uh, so many people I know who don't have passports, so they keep ID on them now because you have.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk with this tremendous panel about this because this is impacting everybody. Of course, you've got Chaparral Wells, who's run for office in that part of the Chicagoland area. And she has a good many people in her immediate neighborhood who have been impacted by this. But we want to welcome to the show this young man, Rabbi Michael Ben Joseph. And I'm so glad that you're with us. How are you today? Oh, you got
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Thank you
all
so
the
much.
most brilliant things are said on mute. And of course, he's a brilliant activist. Trust me, I get it. I forget all the time. And you're from the Chicago Activist Coalition for Justice.
Oh
Let me
man, thank
start,
you. Yes.
let me start with you because you've been out there frequently. And my friend Don Lemon, who I'm going to get on the show, who used to be
Mm,
in Chicago,
yeah.
who, of course, was with CNN, and now he's an independent journalist. He's doing a lot of great work. He spent a
Yeah.
lot of time out there. And I said, I want to go out there. Don's almost, he's like a big brother kind. He said, I think you need to hold up. I said, well, he knows me. We had a very, very close friend, and he understands some of my health issues. He said, there are a lot of chemicals in the air.
Mm,
And if you don't have a real mask, Santita, I think you just need to wait. I'll tell you about it, and some other people can. But right now, just wait a minute. Because
mm.
he said, I don't, he said, it's not a place where I want you to be right now. This was a couple of weeks ago. But from what I can understand from you, Rabbi, there is an even larger presence of ICE
Mm.
and police. Now, what they're doing in Nassau County, just outside of New York City, uh, the the fear of Mamdani winning is being is just being it's just propaganda. One of the Nassau County officials is now going to make 10 of his detectives ICE agents. He said, just in case because we're gonna have this takeover. So help me to understand what is going on in Broadview right now.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me to join this panel. This is the type of platform that gives your viewers an insight what it's like to be on the boots on the ground. We were engaged with a protest this past weekend, as we normally have done, and we were there in numbers, but we were outnumbered. I could say right now the amount of police, of military police that were there this past weekend on Saturday was 3 to 1. And that just goes to show how dangerous this work we're doing is. I got to tell you also the part about the different law enforcement that we're seeing a large number of state police from the Illinois State Police force here in our state. We're seeing some other law enforcement that are not in. I don't know what law enforcement they are. I think they're Border Patrol. They have like all black uniforms, but with military helmets and billy clubs. And then you have the other state police groups as well. So I don't know the number of law enforcement in that was just dispatched to this past Saturday. Not to mention also the different districts in the area, like Villa Park, Westchester was there, Maywood was there, Broadview was there. So there were the surrounding law enforcement there as well. Just to show what we're dealing with and what we're consistently dealing with, the aggression of us not exercising our right to freedom of speech is the biggest issue. Um, Mayor Katrina Thompson has signed an executive order limiting our space constraint, which is a designated area that's not even no more than like a cafeteria size in a length of a narrow length, like the narrow side. So you have it's long in length but narrow in width. So just go to show the hypocrisy of what that we're dealing with. You have with any building that has to go through an inspection from a fire department or court enforcement has to undergo restrictions and ensure that the capacity is is accountable at capacity of human beings in that facility. But the mayor signs the executive order to limit us in a certain area where if we're all together, we're literally on top of each other. So we find it pretty much a safety hazard when it comes to if someone has a medical emergency, then how do we get that person out in its nick of time to go into any recourse of having medical treatment being done. The medical professionals come into the area one way, but we cannot exit out the other area. So it's a dangerous situation when there is a one-way only in to get to someone that possibly will have a medical emergency, God forbid. And then not only that, we are dealing with military tanks was there this weekend. I'm talking about like U.S. Army type style military equipment was on protesters with billy clubs, with state police in full riot gear, with helmets, with body shield type things. I don't get intimidated. I do this work, but this past weekend, I felt so traumatized that I had to tell folks who were with me just to check on me because I felt traumatized of the amount of law enforcement that were in the area around all these protesters. And I had to just take a minute. I just could not, it was like I felt weird. I felt like what I just went through and seen the amount of aggression towards us as protesters. And we're very animated. We're very peaceful. But it's still, we're met with this type of force with it comes to our mission of going towards getting to the ICE facility. As clergy, as I am clergy, my rights have been violated with regards to the Article 6 of the Constitution that gives me the right when there is a federal law supersedes a state or local law as clergy. So I'm invoking that this evening at the city council meeting, that I'm invoking my Article 6 of the Constitution that gives me the right to have religious freedoms to do my exercise and my due diligence when it comes to clergy. That's based off the law that was signed in 1993 that gives clergy the ability to exercise their right to clergy without burdens of any government agency, which, as we see, the ordinance by Katrina Thompson is hindering from me doing my duties because of the lawsuit that was filed, that was released to the public, open sealed, confirms that we all feared that there's no running water in the field facility, that people are sleeping on the floors, that the people are malnourished. There are allegations from those who've been involved in this facility inside that the lack of nutrition is being done for these persons inside the facility. It's supposed to be a holding facility, not a detention, which is they're held well over 12 days, maybe 3 weeks to so, something like that. But they're supposed to be staying there like 12 hours. But it seems to be where ICE seems to break all these rules that they have already in place to have someone detained for weeks. So our fears and our concerns are now substantiated with this lawsuit. And so I'm immediately invoking my due diligence to having the mayor to stand out of my way to go into the facility or get close to the facility and to be there to be a form of hope for those folks that are inside that facility.
Because you're seeking to have a humanitarian clergy visit inside of the facility.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. If I can make a recommendation on the air, Dr. Sherry Bevel, of course, Diane Nash's daughter, she and Reverend James Bevel were married in the 60s. Reverend James Bevel was one of Dr. King's lieutenants who really brought Reverend Jesse Jackson onto the staff. He advocated because he saw how Reverend was organizing here when he was in seminary at the University of Chicago. And one of the things that Dr. Sherry Bevel, their daughter, is doing now is she has studied what her mother and father did. Indeed, really the architect of the Birmingham Children's Revolution, that was the Bevels. And so many of the boldest campaigns that Dr. King uh, really that he actually went on. The architect was Reverend James Bevel. He was known as kind of like the wild, crazy man of the movement, but he was a genius.
Mm.
And Dr. Sherry Bevel is a genius, and she's also very quite studied. And every Saturday at the Rainbow Push office at our headquarters, because we are, it turns out, the largest land-owning civil rights organization in the state, if not the country. She's doing what Reverend James Lawson and her parents used to do, which are workshops on nonviolence. Because knowing that you're going into these hostile environments, they are traumatizing. And so when you see the pictures of what our parents were doing, before they went, they were trained. They were called the N word. They were pelted with eggs, with rocks. I mean, all like beaten, not to be hurt, but they wanted everyone to understand. I know we're asking you to be nonviolent, but we want you to understand what this feels like, and we also want you to understand the philosophy behind it. So I would like to connect the two of you, if you don't mind, and because I think that
Please
that would
do.
be something. I think that would be something that would be helpful to you because you're bold, you're courageous, you're brave. The fact that you would put yourself in that space, whether you're in the clergy or not, that says everything. And I just want you to be a part, since you're part of that tradition, I want you to meet some people who really do understand it. Okay.
Absolutely.
You
And
know.
just so you know, also, 3 weeks ago, I was attacked by the state police.
Hmm.
Um, to tell your viewers how this was, I was literally, we were protesting, marching in the streets, and the commander gave the order for all of us to disperse out of the streets. And me being who I am, uh, everyone knows that when I'm given the order by law enforcement, I'm going to abide by the rules. Yes, I'm going to take it to the limit to civil disobedience, but once I'm getting that order, I'm going to comply. And
Hmm.
that's what I did. I complied and went on the sidewalk, but it was not good enough. There was literally five to six state police pushed everyone out the way and came directly towards me
Mm.
and threw me down on the ground, piled on top of me. And then other officers went around them. So I was in a sea of humanity under a pile of people. And God forbid, if someone wanted to pull their gun out on me, I
Hmm.
was gone. And that's exactly what I felt was going to happen when I was on the bottom of that pile, that they're going to execute me right there in front of everyone.
Hmm.
And it was so many people there watching. There were so many videos was taken on this altercation, and then they had the nerve to charge me with resisting arrest,
Oh.
charge me resisting arrest, and saying that I pulled my arm from the officer. But the amount of humanity on top of me, there was no way that I could even possible do a resisting arrest. I'm only like what 210 pounds. There were big guys on top of me full and an armor as well. That's weight as well. Pinned me
Hmm.
to the ground. I could not. It felt like I was being crushed on the bottom of that ground because I
Hmm.
had nothing but the concrete under me and then their weight on top of me. That video went viral, and that's where I was able to had the privilege to go on News Nation and also CBS. Even the news covered it. So it just goes to show the danger that we're under, and
Hmm.
but still we're determined, we're poised, and we're focused that facility must be closed down. And here's the thing, how it feels more so when it comes to the political leaders who are coming out in droves. This building been in there for all these years, and no one raised their eyebrow. No one considered that this facility is in our community that I grew up in. This is why I'm there most of the time in an hour anyway, because this is where I grew up at. I grew up in Broadview. So it's full circle for me to go back in my community where I grew up to fight for what is wrong in that city. And the fact is, I'm seeing all these political leaders coming out. No one said a word when ICE was wanting to come into our community to build an academy in our communities to recruit ICE agents. No one said a word. But now all of a sudden, I'm seeing all these political leaders talking about ICE out now. I'm seeing everyone having these flyers out, ICE out now. But no one said a word until now Trump is in office to come out here. And I was out there advocating back day one by myself with other small groups, pushing this narrative, pushing this advocacy that no one should be here recruiting anyone. But I had no support from any political leaders. But all of a sudden, now they want to come out of the woodwork and stand and say, "Oh, I'm here for ICE. I'm here to stand with the families."
But if I could share with you before as I bring on Attorney Woods, take the support, because now people see the necessity. You know, Dr. King did not speak to hundreds of thousands of people, except for maybe a handful of times in his lifetime, one hand. Much of the work that you do is lonely work, and you don't get the support of the establishment, Rabbi. You don't, because people don't see it until they see it with their own eyes. Now it's something different because everybody's feeling some kind of way, because you have a lot of pressures everywhere. You got people who don't have food, people who are losing their homes. I know any number of people now who, uh, when Bernie Sanders ran in 2016 and certainly in 2020, some of my classmates from Howard, he is a socialist. I make too much money to be bothered with someone like him. But well, they and their spouses lost those jobs that were pulling in $600,000-700,000 a year together. And now there it is. Now, I'm not going to engage in schadenfreude and say, wow, I told you so. No, they see something different now. And sometimes you just have to get on the other side of things, and that's okay. That's okay. Because, people one would have to call someone like you prophetic. You kind of you're way out in front of people. And you can't be so far out front, right, that no one can see you. You're right where you need to be. Then you have the credibility. I mean, there are a whole lot of people here who are applauding the work that you have been doing because they've seen you. People have seen you. Everybody might not be standing with you, but they do respect you, because what you're doing is something that a whole lot of people aren't trying to do, Rabbi. It's too dangerous. No one wants to be in the position in which you found yourself up under that pile of people. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody. And it's just, I was just looking at CNN, Attorney Woods. Abby Phillips, Rabbi, and Chappelle Wells has the CNN anchor. She has a book about Reverend Jackson, A Dream Deferred. And today actually is, it was, 1984. It was 41 years ago today that Reverend announced his first presidential run. And November 3rd, 1983, so 42 years. And she said, Reverend was remarking on his life. And he said, many of my friends work for the Urban League and other think tanks. He said, but they got paid more, but they risked less. And, and he said, and I knew that with the work that I was doing, I might not come home. And that's what my mother knew. And that's something that we came to know. And we had to accept it. But then when you walk down the street, people love you. And then some people don't understand you, but it's okay. It's okay. You're on the right side of history, so stay right there. Attorney Tanya Woods, when you hear his story, it is harrowing.
Yes, it is.
Because we're seeing it, and we're seeing it repeated all over the country.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is something that you foresaw. I have two prophets sitting right right across from each other. It's something that you foresaw, because you came on here like a great, goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Yes, indeed.
You said, wait a minute, know your rights, know your risks, everybody. And many African Americans, Rabbi, this, were like, this is a brown problem. You were like, no, it's not, because when they go down these streets, they're going to start looking for you, my friend. I kept telling people, my mother said, hey, you make sure that you speak English clearly when you are walking in these streets. She said this more than a month ago. She said, because if people got to look at you and go, maybe,
Right.
Oh, hey, so wait a minute. Attorney Woods, when you hear his story and when you're
Yes.
looking at these different videos, so
Yes.
you're dealing with this because when your own children go out, you're like, wait, let me
Yes.
tell you what you need to do, and your friends
That's
and their
right.
friends.
That's
What,
right.
what do you think when you hear this? I mean, who are these people? Who are ICE? Who are
Yeah,
they?
so a couple of things. And first of all, Rabbi, thank you for what you're doing in your way. And I will echo what Santita has already said, which is do not be discouraged by what others may or may not be doing because you've been given some knowledge. And so we are required, those of us who do know better, to do better. I just often say sometimes folks don't always know. We assume that they know things, sometimes
Hmm.
they don't, right? And so we can't deal in the what ifs, but we can keep on going down the road that we're going. So stay protected. Make sure you have your lawyer on speed dial, so that if we need to, we can come out and help you fight for your rights. So what we're dealing with right now, and it does bring me chills to hear that story and to watch those videos. I was just talking to a colleague just yesterday, and she asked me, was I protesting? And I said, that's not my ministry right now, but I know that there are others whose it is, and it's my duty to protect them when they are standing in harm's way. But what I am trying to do from my space as an attorney on the West Side at the West Side Justice Center and beyond, and working with other organizations that are part of Illinois Access to Justice, which is a statewide network of connected community-based organizations providing legal services and community navigation services, is making sure that people do know what their rights are, what their risks are when they enforce them, and then the resources that they need in order to protect themselves and their community. If we can go out in the streets like that, then we are ahead of the game. And I do believe because of that kind of effort, and here in Chicago is why things may not, while they're moving quickly, they're not moving as quickly as I think they thought they were going to be moving
What do you mean?
because of the hard work. I mean that. Remember back in late August, the call from the federal government was that we are coming to Chicago to stem the tide of crime and violence. We are sending the National Guard. So let's not forget that's what we heard over the airwaves. But instead, they did the bait and switch on us. And that Labor Day weekend, they sent not the National Guard, but they sent Border Patrol and ICE Patrol.
Mhm.
And Santita, you asked the question, who are they and what do they have the right to do? There are several law enforcement organizations that work under the color of the federal government's charge. And the Department of Homeland Security has under its auspices ICE, Border Patrol, the U.S. Treasury has its own law enforcement. There are several federal agencies that have law enforcement. And we mustn't forget that any moment in time, any of them can be enacted in order to either issue warrants lawfully or to round up folks unlawfully. So what we're seeing now are two agencies, law enforcement working under the Department of Homeland Security, and that's ICE and Border Patrol. ICE is Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. Border Patrol, you might be asking yourself, why Border Patrol? Because there is a fight right now, and the fight is that does Chicago qualify as being on the border of
Of
a
what?
foreign country? Because Lake Michigan is the body of water between Illinois and
Canada.
Canada, right? So that's actually an ongoing debate right now. And you called up Diane Nash's name because the phone is ringing. That is the battle that's happening right now because there are some attorneys that say we are not on the border of Canada. And there are some others that are saying we are. And that's why Border Patrol is here. So until that gets worked out. So that's why we say our fight is similar to what's happening in Los Angeles and in Southern California, because these are places that are on the border. And so that's the first thing. They are here allegedly to enforce criminal warrants for undocumented individuals who have criminal warrants. That is the pretense under which those law enforcement agencies are operating in Chicago and in other places as well. But unfortunately, what we know is actually happening is while the law enforcement agencies are seeking out these individuals, they are also taking along all this collateral damage with them, causing collateral damage by rounding up other people who are not undocumented, who are U.S. citizens. And what we saw on the south side of Chicago was nothing less than torture, horrendous, horrific, almost tantamount to, words that I even dare not say, because of what we saw, the propelling of the law enforcement down the side of the building, the helicopters in the middle of the night, and those kinds of things. And now, Santita, as you are pointing out, this kind of widespread, warfare being enacted upon us.
Wait. Hold on. You just said something. Hold on.
Yep.
When the president said, I'm going to deploy them to basically wage war on the American people.
And he said
Is
that.
what you, okay.
He has said this, right? So he has
Is
said,
that what we're seeing?
He told us that. Yes, that is exactly what we're saying. He told us he was waging war on these cities, and has been true to his word. And so what we are seeing now is the fulfillment of what he has already promised. So it's not like we're finding the president or anyone under his control saying, oh, that's not what we said. Oh, we changed our mind. They are continuing to barrel forward. What I'm pointing out is that the original threat was National Guard to stem the tide of crime and violence. What we saw was ICE and Border Patrol looking for undocumented criminals. That was the bait and switch. What we also saw, boots on the ground, was people that were being pursued. But while those people being pursued, we saw Black people also being detained. And so that was the call to action that I was saying was, please make no mistake, when the oppressor is going out hunting for sharks, he's going to take up all the minnows and everything else in the net right along with it. So we are finding ourselves, I'm not going to say not the target, we just may not be the target right now. We may be the target later. And so why would we wait until we get an announcement from the podium saying, Tanya Woods, I'm coming after you. Rabbi Yosef, I'm coming after you and yours. Why would we wait for that? The time is now for us to be prepared by knowing our rights, knowing our risks, and knowing what our resources are. So if you want to know more about, how you can find out how to arm your community with information, you can reach us at the Westside Justice Center. And we are located online at westsidejustice.org. That's westsidejustice.org. And you can find out more about the Community Know Your Rights workshops that we will send and dispatch cohorts of trainers out to wherever you live and work to inform your communities of what their rights, risks, and resources are, all for free, because this information is free, so that you know what your constitutional rights are, how to invoke them safely, and that when you need help, you know where to go. We also have printable palm cards that we are distributing all across the city, county, and state. And if you want to use them in your community, you may do so. Again, visit us at westsidejustice.org, and you can find out how to get those cards. And those cards on one side list what your constitutional rights are and how to invoke them. And on the back side is a litany of 1-800 toll-free phone numbers that you or your loved ones can call in the event that you need assistance immediately. Whether you see ICE sightings, whether you've been detained, who to call, if you are a veteran and you've been detained, all specific hotlines to get the help that you need right away. Because we know we need to prioritize some very vulnerable communities within the Black community. Specifically, people who are reentering citizens and may have a record. Specifically, people who are unhoused. We saw in Washington, D.C., many of the unhoused Black people, plus having a record, were being rounded up. We need to protect our most vulnerable, like our juveniles who are under 18, who don't not always have the same skills that we as adults have in order to interact with law enforcement, and may pop off in a kind of way that will be to their detriment. And so we know that laws work differently for underage juveniles than they do for adults. So our unhoused, our reentering citizens, our juveniles, and one population I am lifting up every day, and those are our Black immigrants, whether they are undocumented, on the way to being citizens, or otherwise. Black immigrants are in a catch-22 in that they carry around the color of our skin for which we are oppressed. They may also be walking around speaking in foreign languages and different tongues, which is also part of the executive order, which allows the federal government to detain people based on either the color of their skin, an accent that they may have, or an occupation that they may hold. That's pretty much everybody except them. And so our Black immigrants may be caught up twice or thrice, especially if they are caught for traffic stops, if they are detained just because of the color of their language skills or a particular occupation. Santita, you talked about some of our domestic workers in affluent neighborhoods in Chicago being picked up in and around schools, in and around the homes that they care for young children. People who have been with their families for years caring for their families are now being picked up. And so this is, in my opinion, an issue that affects and impacts us all. And the moment you begin to think that it does not, you are potentially deadly wrong in these situations, because we indeed are seeing people being harmed in the worst possible ways. And so this is a moment for us to galvanize, organize, come together, regardless of affiliation, Democratic Party, religious or otherwise, so that we can protect our communities first and foremost.
Before I bring on Shapiro Wells, Attorney Woods and Rabbi Yosef, I mean, please engage. Is there anything that he could have done?
So probably not. And let me say this: the reason why is when we are talking.
I mean, and I didn't ask that for blame.
Oh, no.
Because we have watched. I just said, this man turned down the street in New York on the Upper West Side, and it was his neighborhood. His street was blocked off. He wanted to know, excuse me, sir, where do I go? They pull him out the car, pin him on the ground, and they break 6 ribs. This is a 67-year-old man.
So here's what I'm saying, why I say there's nothing differently that he could have done, is because I know Rabbi knows what his rights are and how to enforce them safely. What we do not tell people is that if they enforce their rights in the way that we express, that they're going to be treated fairly or lawfully. So it would be a miscarriage of my duty if I said, if you just say these words nice and calm, they're going to let you go, ma'am. That is not the reality of our situation. So these know your rights and know your risks is so that you can stay as far away from detention as possible. But it does not protect you or ensure that you will not be detained, or that once detained that you're going to be treated fairly, or once detained that they are going to operate within the 4 corners of the law. Knowing your rights and how to exercise them does allow us 2 things. 1, it allows us to fight for another day. 2, it allows us as advocates, those of us who are officers of the court, to be able to create a record that works on your behalf and allows us to continue to fight. And then lastly, more and more of these infractions that are enforced upon us, then we pull those things together. And that is how we as attorneys and advocates are able to then make court complaints and lodge court cases later. So we recognize that just you stating your rights calmly doesn't mean that you're going to be let go. Just because you say, I will not talk without my lawyer, doesn't mean that they won't continue to berate, harass, and harangue you. Just because you say, I do not consent to any searches, does not mean that they will still not kick your door down. Still does not mean that they will not intimidate you to the point that you feel as though you have to open your trunk or your glove box. But you still can say, I will not consent to any searches while that activity may be going on, and say nothing more. That allows us to go back and say, my client enforced his rights safely, but he was in fear of being, either harassed or hurt or mistreated or abused, right? And so we know that this doesn't mean that this is going to stop them from acting in the way that they have been acting. It's not going to stop them from being as abusive as we have seen them be over these last several weeks, but it does allow us as advocates and attorneys to fight another day.
Shapiro Wells, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Santita, I'm in the Berwyn Cicero area, which is like, to me, it's almost like ground zero, along with Little Village area. And what we're seeing is that it's an onslaught, daily attack from ICE and Border Patrol, and they are very aggressive. I know that we are in constant attack. I mean, my phone starts going off as early as 7 a.m. in the morning from rapid response team requests because people are living in fear. I feel like we are under siege. And what I wanted to make sure that everybody understood is that not only are we under siege, but we are under attack. I feel that a lot of the attacks that we're seeing with ICE agents, they are very aggressive. So it's not like, you're given the opportunity to present your paperwork or present your IDs. They're literally snatching people out of cars when they're at a red light, opening and busting windows and dragging people out of the car. That's what we're seeing. If you are of Mexican descent, or if you look Nigerian or something like that, these are attacks that they're actually doing in our neighborhoods. And it's to the point that to me, I'm very upset that our town is not more vocal or more fighting to protect the citizens of Cicero. against these attacks, it's like we are out here by ourselves. And so we have to rely on each other to actually blow the whistle. We're doing a lot of blowing whistles to alert people that there are ICE in the areas, as well as also we're helping our neighbors. We're going to the grocery store for them. We're going to pick up their children. We're we're letting them know, of course, through WhatsApp and other areas about the ICE sightings. So this is what we're doing in the neighborhood to make people safe. And I just want to dispel this notion that the Trump administration is actually picking up the most uh hardened criminals, because that's just a bold-faced lie. They're picking up people, they're racially profiling Black and brown people, and they're targeting our neighborhoods based on zip codes. And that's where they're getting the pushback from the community now, is because of the fact that we have these high Hispanic areas, and that's where they're targeting. But we don't see them in little Ukraine or anything like that. And so what we're showing is that they have basically only doing this for Black and brown people, and that's what we're showing right now, Santita.
Well, I think that we have been talking about this. Attorney Tanya Woods had to go, but I'm going to tell you, everyone, including you, Rabbi Yosef, um, what you need to do is make sure you reach out to her at the West Side Justice Center,
Absolutely.
because I think she is an excellent resource. And okay, wait, I'm getting some background noise. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what the background noise. Okay, very good. But it's okay. But what I'm trying to do, we have to know the moment that we're in, because the search for the immigrants is a pretext. There's a lot going on. Um, in the next show will be on euthanasia. This is a story that I brought to you several years ago. They passed a law in Canada allowing people to die with dignity. That's what they're calling it. But they're really targeting the most vulnerable in the society. I said, if you're not careful, it's going to come here. Instead of treating people, they're telling you that, well, there's nothing more we can do for you, or you are poor and you are homeless, and you just say, well, you know what? I don't want to be a burden anymore. That's what's happening in Canada, and now it's about to happen here. A law was just passed in Illinois, and mind you, while they have these facilities, there's an alligator Alcatraz that they're opening in Utah. So everybody, be careful. Be quiet. Next, it could be you. So please, please, please be very, very clear that we are in a moment, Rabbi Michael Ben Yosef, Shapiro Wells, in which it's immigration that's being used. Your safety is being used, but the fact is they want to shut you down. Be very, very clear. Rabbi, Mrs. Wells, and happy anniversary, Mrs. Shapiro Wells. She and her husband have been married almost 30 years. It's 28 years today. And we have to lift him up, because he is an angel. We all know Shapiro. She's a lot. We love her. But that man Brett is just a gem. Praise the Lord. And let him know that we said that about him. Yes. Because it does take a very strong man to be with a woman who is as strong as Shapiro is, someone who's as talented, someone who is as out front. That having been said, we need to be very, very clear, Rabbi, what we're looking at. And the thing is, everyone who's not in the 1%, well, it's all of us. It's all of us. And so when they had you pinned down on the ground, I couldn't help but think of George Floyd and Michael Brown. I mean, yeah, and you understand that there's nothing that you could do when you're pinned under, or this white gentleman whose name I do not know, but in the runners community, of which I am not part, but in the runners community, the runners community helped his video go viral, because You see, because you saw this white man, you saw his neighbors, and you saw other white people saying, "Dude, what are you doing? He can't breathe. Why are you on him? Like, what are you doing?" And people need to see this with their own eyes. And I am not Abraham down there in Venezuela, sending you so much love. We're praying for you and your people because we don't want war with you. Uh, the oligarchs want your oil, and we know it. And just know that a lot of us know that here, and a lot of us support you protecting your country. And we pray for you. We pray for you. And whoever you have as your leader, that is your business, and we support that. We affirm that. You're not trying to march on us, and I know you're not happy with the leadership that we've got. And there it is. So, Rabbi, what do you want us to know? Because what are we missing? What do you think that the broader community is understanding what is happening in Broadview? Do you think that the broader community is understanding that all of us are?
That's a very good question. I think now, since the coverage has been very much well open, the videos, just to give you context of what I've been dealing with, I was tear gassed. I was tear gassed by standing in there with Pastor Blake, a black that was shot in the head with the rubber bullet. That was a weekend before he was shot. Me and him was standing there as clergy, exercising our right to, as clergy members of different perspective of faiths, that we were there unison. And ICE agents just began to spray us. We were not aggressive. We were there peacefully. We were there just to be there present, but it didn't matter. So now the images of seeing the smoke in the air when it comes to the rubber bullets that have shot one of my comrades. Oh my gosh, he took his shirt off. He had literally 18 scars of bullet circles on his back. And the impact of the PSI, I don't know what the PSI is of those bullets, but it left a circle of like he was being branded alive on his back. The amount of aggression that we're seeing, I think people are now getting it. When communities was not getting this spread, and here's the thing also, as activists, when we're there at Broadview, we contained ICE. We contained ICE, secluded to that level of space because we were there slowing up their operation. It was only until Katrina's executive order pushing us away from the building, then here come J.B. Prince's state police push us further away from the building, that allow all the ICE agents to go out into the communities to do their chaos. We slowed it down.
What would you have wanted Governor Pritzker to have done?
First and foremost, bringing the state police only escalated the situation. It only escalated. It did not diminish. This past weekend, there were literally over 200 plus law enforcement of state police alone. We were 3-1 outnumbered. And this is where the hypocrisy that I challenged the mindset of our governor, who told us to get out and protest. He told us to get out there and record. We're doing just that. But when we're out there doing it, we have this aggression from the state police that attacked me. And I'm just doing what he told me to do. So we're going to challenge the governors in our lawsuit I'm going to be filing, that he was the one that told us to get out here to protest. And now now we have these levels of government standing up against us. But I do believe now everyone is getting it. Everyone sees the call of action. I see fake leaders. I see churches. I see different groups are coming there to stand support. the Broadview coalition that we're putting forth against this aggression. I think other communities have risen up to the occasion to do what they're seeing. You've seen the whistles going out. You would never thought a whistle would be a part of a movement. I mean, I've blown whistles in my teenage years, but a whistle now is an absolute necessity to give those who are in our communities the alert that these people are coming for in our communities. And so I just believe now the awakening is here, but I just hope and pray that the awakening will not cause us to go to sleep, because these people are serious. They're determined.
Serious about what? Determined to do what? Before we
They're serious about implementing his policies that put folks of Black and brown and color in prison for crimes they didn't commit, or to make sure that to make this society to have fear, superstition, and feeling afraid to come out of their own homes. That's what I feel this was going on. This level of fear and aggression is to amplify their missions they're doing.
Well, I think it's extending to white people, to all people, because people are speaking up and out about everything. And I think that I saw on CNBC um, one member of the oligarchy speaking, and it was, wealthy commentators, presumptively. And um, they were saying that the new civil war will not be left right. It'll be a vertical one. The 99% against the 1%. That people are becoming less. The fear of the oligarchs is that Americans are waking up, and that we're looking to each other less and looking above more and saying, wait a minute. The problem is not you to my left or you to my right, politically, or my neighbor. The problem is, wait a minute, y'all have too much, and you have too much, and we have too little. So, I mean, there's just a lot that I think we need to pay attention to. How can we get in touch with you, Rabbi? How can we be supportive of you and your efforts?
Well, they can Google me. My name is very well published on online. My organization is published online. They can email me from CACFJ number 7 @gmail.com. I have a website that shows all my work in the community from www.tukunkai.org. It's very public, and I just got to say that we're committed, we're determined, we're not going to turn away. Just this past week, they tore down our tent. This goes to show that the tent was met. That they try to target us. We had a tent that was reserved for medical supplies to provide PPE to the community, to provide goggles, provide literature, even food. It was taken away by the city.
May I congratulate you? Because that means you're working. There you go. Congratulations.
I guess you put it that way.
Oh no. I mean, if you were not if you were not making a difference, they'd leave you alone.
That's true. I gotta look at it that way.
So go no, look, trust me. That's right. It's a long fight. So keep on going.
It's a long fight. Absolutely,
It's a long
guys.
fight. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. The baton is yours. Boom.
Oh my gosh.
Rabbi,
That's a lot of weight.
That's all right. You can do it. You can do it.
That's a lot of weight.
That's all right.
I appreciate the motivation and encouragement.
Oh, look, you have a home here on the show. Rabbi Michael Ben Yosef. I'm so glad to have
Hallelujah.
you. Oh, may
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you so
Sharon
much.
Wells, sending you so much love. Everybody will be talking about euthanasia in about another hour. Is it for the poor? Is it for the homeless? What if you were given the option because you don't want to weigh on society? I think that's what's beginning to happen here, and we need to pay attention, everybody. Pay attention. It's happening in Canada. It's happening all around, and we must push back. I am Santita Jackson. This is the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota.